Good morning and welcome to another episode of how to pass your driving theory test the first time. And welcome. So let's go straight into sharing my screen. Okay. So we've done the alertness, attitude, essential documents, hazard awareness, incidents, accidents, and emergencies. I'm yet to upload that video to this channel. And now we are on Motorway Rules, okay? So Motorway Rules is the one we are doing today. Okay, so let's begin.
What should you do when going through a contraflow system on a motorway? Use dipped headlights. Keep a good distance from the vehicle ahead. Switch lanes to keep the traffic flowing. Stay close to the vehicle ahead to reduce queues.
Okay, so using deep headlights during the daylight, you don't need that, but sometimes we have daytime running lights. Definitely deep headlight is not the correct answer. Says, what should you do when you're going through a contraflow system on a motorway? Okay, normally that's a sign of a contraflow. There's a speed restrictions and lanes are slightly narrow because of road works. So one of the best things you need to do is to select your lane early and then stay within the speed limit. Okay, so that's the idea. So knowing what it is that you are talking about will give you some idea as to what the answers will need to be. Switch lanes to keep the traffic flowing sounds a reasonable answer, but it's not the most important. So let's look at another one. Keep a good distance from the vehicle ahead. That's the most likely answer. Okay, so we're going to tick that one for now. Stay close to the vehicle ahead to reduce queues. This is wrong. Okay, so deep headlight is wrong. Stay close to the vehicle ahead to reduce is wrong as well. So it's between these two. Switch lanes to keep traffic flowing. No issue. Already have chosen your lane and then maintain a good distance from the vehicle ahead. Okay, so that will be the correct answer.
You're in the right-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. What do these overhead signs mean? Move to the left and reduce your speed to 50 miles per hour. There are roadworks 50 meters, 55 yards, ahead. Use the hard shoulder until you've passed the hazard. Leave the motorway at the next exit.
Okay, so when you're driving on the motorway and you see that sign ahead, it means something is happening in the right-hand lane. So move into the next lane, to the middle or to the left lane and reduce your speed to 50. Okay, so move to the left lane and reduce your speed to 50. That's the correct answer. Okay, so it's not roadworks ahead. Roadworks ahead, there will be information showing you roadworks. Don't use a hard shoulder. No, don't leave the motorway. That is not what it's saying. Okay, leaving the motorway has a different arrow. It goes to your left. It goes from the bottom, bends to your left. Okay, so the correct answer is what we've selected.
You're driving on a motorway. What does it mean if the car in front shows its hazard warning lights for a short time? The driver wants you to overtake. The other car is going to change lanes. Traffic ahead is slowing or stopping suddenly. There's a police speed check ahead.
Okay, so we discussed this in the incident, accident, and emergency section yesterday. So when someone is driving and put on the hazard light on the motorway, it means the speed ahead is reducing drastically. It's something that you may not be aware of. So therefore, you need to be proactive in responding to the hazard light. So the correct answer is traffic ahead is slowing or stopping suddenly. So they are trying to warn you of the danger ahead. Okay.
You're towing a trailer along a 3-lane motorway. When may you use the right-hand lane? When there are lane closures. When there's slow-moving traffic. When you can maintain a high speed. When large vehicles are in the left and center lanes.
Okay. So when you're towing a trailer, you are not allowed to use the right-hand lane of a motorway. Okay, you are not allowed to use the fastest lane, the third lane. Okay, the only way you can actually use the third lane is when there are lane closures, and that's the only way out. Okay, so when may you use the right-hand lane? When there are lane closures. Okay, when there are slow-moving traffic, no. When you can maintain a high speed, no, it's impossible to maintain high speed when you're doing a trailer, well, unless you want to, create a problem. And when large vehicles are in the left and center lane, those answers are not correct. Okay, the correct answer is when there are lane closures. Okay.
Your vehicle breaks down on a motorway and you manage to stop on the hard shoulder. What should you do if you use your mobile phone to call for help? Stand at the rear of the vehicle while making the call. Phone a friend and ask them to come and collect you. Wait in the car for the emergency services to arrive. Check your location from the nearest marker posts beside the hard shoulder.
Okay, so let's read the question again.
Your vehicle breaks down on a motorway and you manage to stop on the hard shoulder. What should you do if you use your mobile phone to call for help? Stand at the rear of the vehicle while making the call. Phone a friend and ask them to come and collect you. Wait in the car for the emergency services to arrive. Check your location from the nearest marker posts beside the hard shoulder.
Okay. So initially I selected this one, stand at the rear of the vehicle while making a phone call. Phone a friend, that's not the correct answer. Wait in the car for emergency services. Do not wait in the car when you break down. Get out of the car and move away from the car, okay? So stand at the rear of the vehicle sounds a reasonable one, but a more answer with some vim or with some authority is this one here. Check your location from the nearest marker post beside the hard shoulder. Because when you use a mobile phone, sometimes the emergency services cannot locate where you are. But when you use an emergency phone, they know exactly where you are. So check the marker post is the correct answer. Yeah, that's correct. Okay.
You are on a motorway. What must you do if there's a red cross showing above every lane? Pull onto the hard shoulder. Slow down and watch for further signals. Leave at the next exit. Stop and wait.
Yeah, when there's a red cross on every lane, you stop and wait. It's the correct answer. Okay.
You're traveling along a motorway. Where would you find a crawler or climbing lane? On a steep gradient. Before a service area. Before a junction. Along the hard shoulder.
Okay, so the clue is in the question. Okay, where would you find a crawler lane? Okay, normally it's called a crawler lane, that's it. But this one is a climbing lane. That's even another clue. So a crawler lane, it's when they're coming up to a hill and certain vehicles like large good vehicles will be going slower, so they need to use a crawler lane to leave the other lane for those who can go faster. Okay, so the crawler, as you can tell from the name of the road or of the lane, crawler or climbing lane. So the correct answer would be on a steep gradient. Okay.
You are on a motorway. What does it mean when a mandatory speed limit is displayed above the hard shoulder? You should not travel in this lane. The hard shoulder can be used as a running lane. You can park on the hard shoulder if you feel tired. You can pull up in this lane to answer a mobile phone.
Okay, so there is a mandatory speed limit displayed above the hard shoulder. Okay, this is only possible because the hard shoulder will be used for a running lane. Okay, if the hard shoulder is not being used for a running lane, this speed limit will not be displayed there. But having this speed limit displayed there, it means it's being used as a running lane. Therefore, the hard shoulder can be used as a running lane, but your speed must be 50 or less. Okay. Right, so the other answers are not correct. Okay. The other answers are not correct. Okay. You should not travel in this lane. You can park on the hard shoulder. You can put that. The correct answer is what we've selected.
How should you rejoin the motorway after a breakdown on the hard shoulder? Build up speed on the hard shoulder before looking for a safe gap in the traffic. Move straight out into the left-hand lane as you're not allowed to drive on the hard shoulder. Wait until a vehicle in the left-hand lane signals to you that it's safe to rejoin. Keep your hazard lights flashing until you have safely rejoined the carriageway.
Okay, so if you have driven the motorway before, yeah, you always build up speed on the hard shoulder before looking for a safe gap in the traffic. Okay, moving straight onto the left-hand lane is dangerous because people already in there is going to create an accident for them. Okay, so the correct answer is what we've selected. Wait until a vehicle in the left-hand lane signals. No, that's not correct. Keep the hazard light. That's not correct. Okay, so that's the correct answer.
What does this motorway sign mean? Use any lane except the hard shoulder. Use the hard shoulder only. Use the 3 right-hand lanes only. Use all the lanes, including the hard shoulder.
Yeah, queue ahead, so the hard shoulder at 50-50, so you can use all lanes, including the hard shoulder.
Your vehicle has broken down on a motorway. What should you do if you are not able to get onto the hard shoulder? Switch on your hazard warning lights. Stop the traffic behind and ask for help. Attempt to repair your vehicle quickly. Stand behind your vehicle to warn others.
Okay, so your vehicle is broken down on the motorway. Fast lane, fast speed, 70 miles per hour. What should you do if you're not able to get into the hard shoulder? You must switch on your hazards, okay, to warn other drivers of the danger that's facing them. Okay, that's the correct answer.
Traffic officers operate on motorways and some primary routes in England and Wales. What are they authorized to do? Stop and arrest drivers who break the law. Repair broken down vehicles on the motorway. Issue fixed penalty notices. Stop and direct anyone on a motorway.
Okay, so these traffic officers are there to help. Okay, they are not there to arrest you or punish you. They are there to help. Okay, they are not there to harass you or repair or fix penalty. No, they are only there to stop and direct anyone on the motorway. Okay, they are very, very helpful people.
You're on a motorway. What does it mean when a red cross is displayed above the hard shoulder? Pull up in this lane to answer your mobile phone. Use this lane as a running lane. This lane can be used if you need a rest. You must not travel in this lane.
So X, so it's now an emergency lane only. Okay, so when you are in emergency, you can use it, yeah, to call for help, but you must not travel in this lane. It is not a running lane.
What do these motorway signs mean? They're countdown markers to a bridge. They're distance markers to the next telephone. They're countdown markers to the next exit. They warn of a police control ahead.
They're countdown to your exit. Okay.
You're on a motorway. What does it mean if a red cross is showing above the hard shoulder and mandatory speed limits above all other lanes? The hard shoulder can be used as a rest area if you feel tired. The hard shoulder is for emergency or breakdown use only. The hard shoulder can be used as a normal running lane. The hard shoulder has a speed limit of 50 miles per hour.
There's a cross over the, in the hard shoulder. So the hard shoulder is for emergency only.
You have stopped in an emergency area. What must you do before you rejoin the carriageway? Use the emergency telephone. Give an arm signal as you're moving off. Switch on your vehicle's headlights. Move away with your hazard lights on.
Okay, so when you are broken down in an emergency area and before you rejoin the carriageway, you must use the telephone. Yeah, the operator will slow traffic down or stop traffic for you to join the road. Okay, that's what you do.
What's the national speed limit for a car or motorcycle on a motorway? 50 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour, 80 miles per hour.
So the national speed limit for a car or a motorcycle on a dual carriageway or a motorway is 70 miles per hour.
You stop on the hard shoulder of a motorway and use the emergency telephone. Where's the best place to wait for help to arrive? Next to the phone. Well away from the carriageway. Your vehicle. On the hard shoulder.
Well away from the carriageway, because you don't want the wind and the cars to get too close to you. Okay, save yourself. Very important to keep yourself safe.
When would you use the right-hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? When you're turning right. When you're overtaking. When you're traveling above the speed limit. When you're trying to save fuel.
Do not travel above the speed limit. You don't turn right on the motorway. You can do that on a dual carriageway. Okay, when you are trying to save fuel. If you're going too fast, you can't save fuel when you're overtaking.
You're traveling in the left-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you react to traffic joining from a slip road? Increase your speed to make sure they join behind you. Adjust your speed or change lane if you can do so safely. Maintain a steady speed. Switch on your hazard warning lights.
Okay, but in the left-hand lane and other cars are joining from a slip road, so you slow down, check your mirrors. When it's safe to do so, you move over into the other lane to allow free flow in traffic. So adjust your speed or change lane if you can do so safely. That is the correct answer. Okay, increasing your speed is not good. Maintaining a steady speed is not the correct answer. The switch on your hazard warning light is not the correct answer. The one we've selected is the correct answer.
When are you allowed to stop on a motorway? When you need to walk and get fresh air. When you wish to pick up hitchhikers. When you're signaled to do so by traffic signals. When you need to use a mobile telephone.
All the other answers are wrong. Okay, you can understand why they are wrong. When are you allowed to stop on a motorway? When you are signaled to do so by traffic signs. Okay.
What would you expect to find at a contraflow system on a motorway? Temporary traffic lights. Lower speed limits. Wider lanes than normal. Road humps.
Okay, so I tried to explain the contraflow system. It's a narrow lanes and a variable speed, so it's lower speed limits. Okay, that's what we can expect.
When may you stop on a motorway? If you have to read a map. When you're tired and need a rest. If your mobile phone rings. In an emergency or breakdown.
An emergency or breakdown. Okay, that's the correct answer. Once again, we can pause the video, read the explanation, and then resume the video again. Okay. Next question.
Your vehicle has broken down on a motorway. In which direction should you walk to find the nearest emergency telephone? With the traffic flow. Facing oncoming traffic. In the direction shown on the marker posts. In the direction of the nearest exit.
Direction shown on the marker posts.
How should you position yourself when you use the emergency telephone on a motorway? Stay close to the carriageway. Face the oncoming traffic. Keep your back to the traffic. Stand on the hard shoulder.
Face the oncoming traffic so that you can see what is happening, and if there is a danger, you can avoid that. Okay. Okay. Once again, we can read the explanation here. Okay. I don't want to make the video too long. Just enough for you to understand what is going on. You can pause and read the comment at the bottom. All right.
You're driving on a motorway and have to slow down suddenly due to a hazard ahead. How can you warn drivers behind of the hazard? Switch on your hazard warning lights. Switch on your headlights. Sound your horn. Flash your headlights.
Okay, we've spoken about this several times now. See a hazard ahead. Switch on your hazard lights. Okay, the hazard light will warn people behind you. Okay, using your headlight, the headlight can only see forward. Okay, sounding your horn, it's not the correct answer. Switch on your flash your headlight is also not correct. Your hazard lights is the correct answer.
Where are amber reflective studs found on a motorway? Between the hard shoulder and the carriageway. Between the acceleration lane and the carriageway. Between the central reservation and the carriageway. Between each pair of lanes.
Okay. So amber reflective studs are between the central reservation and the carriageway. Okay. The green ones are for the slip roads. The red ones are on the left, which is the edge of the carriage or the edge of the carriageway. Then the white ones are for the middle. Okay, I have to memorize those as well. So these are some of the things you need to memorize as well. Okay, so let's look at the answers again. Between the hard shoulder and the carriageway, no, the hard shoulder is on the other side. Okay, between the acceleration lane and the carriageway, no, that's wrong. So it's between the central reservation and the carriageway. Okay, and between each pair of lanes, that will be the white one. Okay.
What color are the reflective studs between the hard shoulder and the left-hand lane of a motorway? Green, red, white, amber.
Okay. So reflective stud between the hard shoulder and the left-hand lane, just explaining, will be the red. Okay.
What helps to reduce traffic bunching on a motorway? Variable speed limits, contraflow systems, national speed limits, lane closures.
Yeah, so bunching. So when you have variable speed limits, this helps speed to flow nicely. Okay.
You're driving on the motorway. Which lane should you get into well before you reach your exit? The middle lane, the left-hand lane, the hard shoulder, the right-hand lane.
Driving on the motor, which lane should you get into well before you reach your exit? Your exit will be on your left, so you should always be in the left lane well before. Okay, in the left-hand lane is the correct answer.
Your car gets a puncture while you're driving on the motorway. What should you do when you've stopped on the hard shoulder? Carefully change the wheel yourself. Use an emergency telephone and call for help. Try to wave down another vehicle for help. Only change the wheel if you have a passenger to help you.
All these answers are wrong. Okay, you can understand why they are wrong. Use an emergency telephone and call for help. It's a high-speed road. Don't put yourself in harm's way or the public in harm's way. Just use the emergency telephone and call for help. Okay.
Your vehicle broke down on the hard shoulder of a motorway, but is now being repaired. How should you rejoin the main carriageway? Move out onto the carriageway, then build up your speed. Move out onto the carriageway using your hazard warning lights. Gain speed on the hard shoulder before moving out onto the carriageway. Wait on the hard shoulder until someone flashes their headlights at you.
We had a similar question already. Okay, so you build up speed on the hard shoulder before you join the carriageway when it's safe to do so.
You're traveling along a motorway. When are you allowed to overtake on the left? When you can see well ahead that the hard shoulder is clear. When the traffic in the right-hand lane is signaling right. When you warn drivers behind by signaling left. When in queues and traffic to your right is moving more slowly than you are.
Okay. So when in queues and traffic to your right is moving slower than the one you are in the left lane is the only reason why you should overtake on the left. Okay, undertake or overtake on the left. Okay, that's the only reason. All the other reasons are wrong.
What color are the reflective studs between the lanes on a motorway? Green, amber, white, red.
I've already explained that is a white between the lanes on the motorway. Okay.
Why is it important to make full use of the slip road as you join a motorway? Because there's space available to turn round if you need to allow you direct access to the overtaking lanes, to allow you to fit safely into the traffic flow in the left-hand lane, because you can continue on the hard shoulder.
All these other answers are wrong. The one in the blue, the green is the correct answer. Okay.
When should you use the left-hand lane of a motorway? When your vehicle breaks down. When you're overtaking slower traffic in the other lanes. When you're making a phone call. When the road ahead is clear.
When should you use the left-hand lane of a motorway? You should always use the left hand of the motorway if the road is clear. All right, you should always use the left-hand lane. Even after you've overtaken a car, you have to move back into the left lane. That helps traffic flow. Okay, so all these other answers are wrong. When your vehicle breaks down, you use the hard shoulder. When you are overtaking slower traffic in the other lanes, you overtake on the right hand side. Okay, then you move back into the left. When you are making a phone call, no, you stop when it's safe to do so, and then you can answer. Okay, the correct answer is when the road is clear. Okay.
Your vehicle breaks down on a motorway and you need to call for help. Why might it be better to use an emergency roadside telephone rather than a mobile phone? It connects you to a local garage. Using a mobile phone will distract other drivers. It allows easy location by the emergency services. Mobile phones do not work on motorways.
It allows an easy location for the emergency services. They know exactly where you are when you use them. And using your mobile phones, that is when it becomes a problem. But you can avoid that problem by looking at the marker post on the floor there, and then you can use them. But the correct answer is the one we've selected. Okay.
What should you do while you're driving or riding along a motorway? Look much further ahead than you would on other roads. Travel much faster than you would on other roads. Maintain a shorter separation distance than you would on other roads. Concentrate more than you would on other roads.
Okay. What should you do while you are driving or riding along a motorway? Okay. You look much further ahead than you would on other roads. Okay. Travel faster than you would on other road. Okay. It's true you travel faster, but that is not the correct answer. Maintain a shorter separating distance. No, that's wrong. Okay. So concentrate more than you would on other roads. Okay. So it's between these two answers, but you could look much further ahead because you are carrying heavy speed. Okay. So you need to look much further ahead than you would on a normal road. Okay.
What should you do when you're approaching roadworks on a motorway? Speed up to clear the area quickly. Always use the hard shoulder. Obey the speed limit. Stay very close to the vehicle in front.
Staying very close to the vehicle in front is dangerous. Don't do that. Don't use the hard shoulder. Speed up to clear. No, that's dangerous. Obey the speed limit. That is important. The roadworks. Okay.
What's the national speed limit on motorways for cars and motorcycles? 30 miles per hour. 50 miles per hour. 60 miles per hour. 70 miles per hour.
70.
Which vehicles are not allowed to use the right-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway? Small delivery vans. Motorcycles. Vehicles towing a trailer. Motorcycle and sidecar outfits.
Okay. So we've already answered that question already. Okay.
What color are the reflective studs between a motorway and a slip road? Amber. White. Green. Red.
I've already explained this already, so you need to memorize this one. Okay. It's green.
Which vehicles should use the left-hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? Any vehicle that's not overtaking. Large vehicles only. Emergency vehicles only. Slow vehicles only.
So any vehicle that is not overtaking should use the left-hand lane. One of the questions we answered earlier says, when should you use the left-hand lane? It said the answer was when the road is clear. Okay, so you should always use the left-hand lane when there's no overtaking involved. Okay.
What should you do if you're driving on a motorway and you miss the exit that you wanted to take? Carefully reverse along the hard shoulder. Carry on to the next exit. Carefully reverse in the left-hand lane. Make a U-turn at the next gap in the central reservation.
Never ever reverse on the motorway. on the hard shoulder, don't do that. Carefully reversing to the no, don't do that. Don't make a U-turn. No, all these answers are wrong. Carry on to the next exit and then use the other side of the other opposite side of the motorway to come back on yourself. Okay.
When would you use an emergency area on a motorway? In cases of emergency or breakdown. If you think you'll be involved in a road rage incident. To stop and check where you are. To make a private phone call.
Case of an emergency, as the name suggests. Okay.
Why is it particularly important to check your vehicle before making a long motorway journey? You'll have to do more harsh braking on motorways. Motorway services areas do not deal with breakdowns. The road surface will wear down the tires faster. Continuous high speeds increase the risk of your vehicle breaking down.
That's the correct answer. Continuous high speed increases the risk of your vehicle breaking down. All the other answers are not correct. Okay, you're going to read the explanation, okay, to help you understand the reason why we chose this particular one.
You're on a 3-lane motorway. Which lane are you in if there are red reflective studs on your left and white ones to your right? In the right-hand lane. In the middle lane. On the hard shoulder. In the left-hand lane.
Okay, so you need to memorize it. So the red is on the edge of the carriageway on the left. Your right hand will be the white studs. Okay, so the question says, which lane are you in if there are red reflective studs in your left hand and white ones on your right? That will be in the left-hand lane. Okay.
What restrictions apply to people who have a provisional driving license? They cannot drive over 30 miles per hour. They cannot drive at night. They cannot drive unaccompanied. They cannot drive with more than one passenger.
Okay. So restriction that apply to people who have provisional licenses, they cannot drive unaccompanied. Okay. They cannot drive over 30 miles per hour. They cannot drive at night. They cannot drive with more than one passenger. Are all wrong answers. They cannot drive unaccompanied. And the person accompanying them must be at least 21 years old and would have held a license in the same category for 3 years. That's the rules. Okay. The explanation will be there for you. Okay.
What should you do immediately after joining a motorway? Try to overtake. Readjust your mirrors. Position your vehicle in the center lane. Stay in the left-hand lane.
So immediately after joining the motorway, stay in the left-hand lane. Make sure you are positioned properly and you can see your surrounding to be safe before you move into another lane to overtake. Okay.
Where should you stop to rest if you feel tired while you're traveling along a motorway? On the hard shoulder. At the nearest service area. On a slip road. On the central reservation.
All these 3 answers are wrong. Hard shoulder is for emergencies. On the slip road, no, that is to build up speed to join the motorway or dual carriageway. On the central reservation, oh, please don't. Okay. At the nearest service area. The service area, you can rest, you can sleep, you can eat, you can use the toilet, anything. That's why it's called services. Okay.
On a 3-lane motorway, which lane should you use if there's no traffic ahead? Left, right, center. Either the right or center.
Okay. Left-hand lane.
You're on a motorway. The hard shoulder is not being used as a running lane. When should you use the hard shoulder? When you're stopping in an emergency. When you're leaving the motorway. When you're stopping for a rest. When you're joining the motorway.
So it's an emergency area. Okay. It's a hard shoulder. You only stop there in an emergency.
How is bunching reduced on motorways? By using higher speed limits. By using advisory speed limits. By using minimum speed limits. By using variable speed limits.
By using variable speed limits. Okay.
How should you use the lanes on a motorway? Use the lane that has the least traffic. Keep to the left-hand lane unless you're overtaking. Overtake using the lane that's clearest. Stay in one lane until you reach your exit.
Keep to the left-hand lane unless you're overtaking. Okay, we've come across that question many times now in our practice. Okay,
what's the speed limit for a car towing a trailer on a motorway? 40 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour.
So a car towing a trailer has got 10 miles per hour lower speed than a car that's not towing a trailer. So the speed limit is 60 on the motorway. If it's a single carriageway, then it becomes 50. But if you're not towing a trailer, it would be a 60 for a car. Okay, I hope that's self-explanatory. Okay. You can read the comment again and get a clarity in your mind.
Which vehicles are prohibited from using the motorway? Powered mobility scooters, motorcycles over 50cc, double-deck buses, cars with automatic transmission.
Powered mobility scooters not allowed on motorway. You can understand why.
You're joining a motorway from a slip road. How should you deal with traffic already on the motorway? Carry on along the hard shoulder until you see a safe gap. Stop at the end of the slip road and look for a safe gap. Use the slip road to accelerate until you're moving much faster than the motorway traffic. Match your speed to traffic in the left-hand lane and filter into a safe gap.
This is the correct answer. Okay, match your speed to traffic in the left-hand lane and filter into a safe gap. That is how to join dual carriageways and motorways. Okay, so carrying on along the hard shoulder until you see a safe gap is wrong. Stop at the end of the slip road. It's dangerous. People behind you are not expecting you to stop. In fact, you are not allowed to stop on a slip road. Just drive and join the slip road, join the road and the motorway. Using the slip road to accelerate until you're moving much faster. That is wrong. The correct answer is the one we've chosen. Okay, the explanation is at the bottom of the screen. Okay, all right. Okay, so we've answered correctly. 100 out of 100, 57 out of 57. Okay, so this one is the key. I keep making a mistake here. This is just a key. It doesn't mean we got anything wrong here, which was some of the explanation I used before. I realized what it was. Okay, so your correct answer is that one. This will be the incorrect answer. The correct answer that you should have marked. Okay, these are just a key. Key just shows the color coding system for your answers, but we got that correct. 100 out of 100, 57. My apologies. We've got 57 out of 57, which is 100%. Okay, so that brings us to the end of these motorway sections. Okay, so back to topic to come. So you can see that the motorway rules are now green as well. Okay, so the next one we're going to do in the coming few days is other types of vehicles. We're going to go through all these topics, and then that is when we are ready to take the multiple or to do the mock test. Okay, that is when we will be ready to do the mock test. That way you are going to be smashing the mock test at consistently higher rate, because you've gone through all the questions and you know exactly what they mean. Okay, rather than guessing what the answers are. I hope this video has been very helpful. Please subscribe to the channel. We want as many people as possible to pass their theory driving test this year. We are trying to help 100 people pass their theory test and or pass their practical driving test and get in there. So please subscribe, share this video with your friends. And if you have the hype button on your mobile phone app, when you are watching this video on your mobile phone, if you scroll slightly just below the video, there's a hype button. You can hit that for me. Please support me to support as many people as possible to pass their theory test and their practical driving test. Well, thank you so much for being here, and have a great day, and see you in our next video. Thank you.